Is it just for cats? It turns out the answer to this question is both more confusing and kind of more interesting than I thought it was going to be, which is a bit unfortunate because, yeah, I'm tired. Like, I had a long day of dog adoptions and I just kind of wanted to answer this easy question. Now, this question first came to me actually when I was a college student, so like almost 20 years ago. Somebody behind me and my friend in my astronomy class, as we were walking out of class, just asked us if people can smoke catnip. Not sure why. I don't know why I'm the type of person that somebody asked this to, but now it makes sense because like this is literally my job. But yeah, he was just like, so can people smoke catnip? And we never actually answered him at that time, although we did become friends with him. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to go answer the question of what happens when people smoke catnip. And I thought it was going to be something like this AI answer, which is basically like, oh yeah, humans don't get the zoomies because they don't have the receptors for the specific chemical that's in catnip. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's a pretty simplistic answer. I haven't heard of this, but yeah, let's do the research. Yeah, that's not at all what the research says. So let's break down first this question into like its individual parts and then see the weird answers that you get for each of those individual parts. So the first one is like, can you actually smoke it? Like, is it a thing that you can smoke? And yes, humans have tried to smoke basically anything that you could potentially try to smoke. In this case, there was a time when this was actually popular. So it suggested that people use this kind of because they couldn't get their hands on weed. But when they figured out that like weed was more accessible and yeah, it just became something that was more available to get, yeah, they switched to that. But supposedly people were doing things like opening up the catnip toys for the cats and then stealing the catnip from them. Which sounds like a kind of like a valid new criteria for addiction if I've ever heard one. Like stealing my cat's catnip. So like, here's the thing when it comes to what I've just told you and what I'm about to tell you later on. We don't actually have good science here. Some of these articles, aka most of these articles, are actually incredibly sketchy. Like one of my sources is a comprehensive guide to hallucinogenic plants. Like those are the only places that we're finding this information. There's like these weird AI hallucinated sources. So there's these review articles that basically tell you nothing. That's a new problem in basically scientific literature now, that AI is just kind of making terrible articles and people are publishing them with their names. So we have like terrible AI article that's like combing information from who knows where. And then you also have like the comprehensive guide to hallucinogenic plants. And then you also have like this one article that basically said like, there's this battle going on with catnip. And some people say it's a hallucinogen, but we don't have evidence of this. And a toddler died from overdose from it. So we need to be careful. This controversy is a big deal. And then that article was never discussed again. Like nobody brings up this controversy over catnip. We have nothing out there about catnip. And what I mean by that is nothing out there about catnip in humans, because we have all sorts of like feline literature. Like we know that tigers might not have the effects of catnip, and that like it's actually a dominant trait that's expressed by like most cats, except for kittens can't have it. Like we have tons of cat data on catnip. We haven't really looked at it in humans. So that AI overview that says like humans don't have those types of receptors, there's nothing out there on that. There is like no verifiable scientific information about catnip in humans. The information that is out there by these sketchy sources say all sorts of just incredibly random things. So for example, supposedly catnip can both like make you sweat, so make you have like an increase in temperature, but then also work as a quote refrigerant. Supposedly it can also help with basically everything from like smallpox to colds, to pain relief, to helping with measles. It's also supposedly an aphrodisiac that can help with things like infant colic, but also farting, hiccuping uncontrollably, and then you can smoke it to cure your coughing too. And that is outside of its use to actually make women start their menstrual cycle. And don't forget its more infamous uses as both a mosquito repellent and a thing that people chewed while they were being executed so that they were hallucinating and it wasn't as bad. All of those things have been listed as potential things that catnip does. But what we actually know in terms of what it does, basically nothing. So I'm actually more confused now than I was at the beginning of this video in terms of what catnip does. It's not as easy as like, we don't have these receptors, so if you smoke it, it does nothing. Like, we don't actually know what it does, and people suggest that it does literally every variety of things that you could expect, and many more that are unexpected. So yeah, my friend from college, that is a valid question. It was a valid question back then, and it is still a valid question now, and we have nothing out there on it.